Hi, welcome back to Day 3, Chapter 3 of Internment by Samira Ahmed. Chapter 3. The President's grating tone wafts up to my room. It's not loud enough for me to hear, but every national security address hits the same notes. America first, lots of euphemisms and misplaced superlatives, and fear-mongering, and the need to close borders and chain migration and illegals, and how he will make it all great again. My parents keep the television on in the living room, even though they're in the basement, watching Pretty in Pink on an ancient portable DVD player. It's one of my mom's nostalgic high school faves. I've seen it a dozen of times. I honestly can't believe the disc hasn't cracked in half yet. If I were a little bummed out, I'd probably welcome the distraction that is Ducky's charm and the ridiculousness of Steph as a high school senior and in Oxford unbuttoned to his midriff. But I'm not merely bummed out. I'm sick to my stomach. I feel like my skin doesn't fit right. Saccharine sentimentality isn't going to stop me from feeling helpless and terrified. I lie across my bed, mindlessly flipping through pages of a poetry anthology my dad assigned me. My nanny made my bedspread as a gift for my mom when I was born. I guess it was really a gift for me, though. She quilted it together from her old cotton saris, and even some that had been worn by my great-grandmother. Much of the multicolored fabric is faded now, the color worn away by time and sunlight, but it's the softest, most comfortable thing in the world. She passed away 2 years ago, but when I'm wrapped in this quilt, it's like her arms are reaching out to hug me when she knows I need it most. I'm reading Macbeth for AP English, a class I am no longer taking. My father is homeschooling me, and he insists we follow the curriculum. He also likes to add his own flourishes, hence all the poetry. Right now it's Wordsworth and Emily Dickinson and Faiz Ahmed Faiz. My parents pulled me from the school because they were too scared of what might happen to me, terrified that my suspension could lead to much worse. I put up a giant fight, but a part of me was scared too. Homeschooling doesn't mean slacking off, though. Not to my parents. I still have the syllabi from all my classes, and David's been bringing me assignments. And since my dad lost his job, he's been taking his commitment to my learning seriously. I think it gives him something to do besides worry about finding employment. He can't, at least not as a professor at any school that receives public funding. My parents haven't said anything to me about money, but I know they're worried. My mom is still treating patients in her chiropractic office. She's known some for years. But in the past couple of weeks, I've noticed her coming home early. Last Friday, she didn't go into work at all. I grab the poetry anthology and flip to an Emily Dickinson poem and read the title out loud. Hope is the thing with feathers. The wind kicks up and whirls, and the leaves of the old oak outside my window brush up against the pane, stealing my attention. I put the book down. An 80s teen movie might not be what I need right now, but I'm also too agitated to read a poem about hope being a bird. I can't concentrate. All my feelings are turned up, and I'm not in the mood to be inspired. A car pulls up outside the house. A door slams, then another. I roll off my bed onto the worn blue durry rug that almost feels slick under my feet, and step to the window to see who could be coming to our house this late. Below my window, 2 men in dark suits are walking towards our front door. My throat gets thick, and my pulse quickens. Are they here for me? This can't be for me. Dudes in suits seem excessive for a girl breaking curfew. If anyone were to come arrest me, wouldn't it be the police? But nothing is what it should be anymore. A dark van with a black and white logo emblazoned on the door parks behind my mom's sedan. I squint to make out the van's logo, lit only by street lamps. Exclusion Authority. A door of the van slides open, and 4 white men in sandstone-colored uniforms step out and flank the sidewalk leading to our house. Behind their van, the police chief pulls up in his squad car and steps out. Run, I say to myself, but I can't move. I try to scream, to warn my parents, but no sound comes out of my mouth. Run! You have to move to run! The doorbell rings, immediately followed by a loud pounding at the door. I hear my parents. They're already in the foyer. Run. Hide. Scream. There is no running or hiding or screaming. I'm frozen. One of the army guys, are they the army? Turns and sees me at the window, and I drop to the floor. My breathing is loud, short, quick breaths. I crawl across the floor of my bedroom, the wood boards under my rug creaking ever so slightly. I open my door a crack, then more. Not that I need to. Suit number one's voice bellows through the house. Identify yourself, the voice says. Are you Ali and Sophia Amin? What the heck? Mrs. Brown. It has to have been her who reported me. Or maybe Jim from Patriots Alliance didn't buy David's lie about Ashley. God, I did this. What have I done? I stand up and my body moves forward in a jerk, then another, and then I'm flying down the stairs. Both men are in our foyer facing my parents. These men, the suits, they're both white and broad-shouldered and expressionless. One of them has his hand near his hip. I narrow my eyes. It's a gun. His hand hovers near a gun. Stop! I yell. It's my fault. My parents had nothing to do with it. My mom turns toward the staircase, eyes wide. Suit number 2 draws a gun, and suddenly time slows down. It's like it's viscous, and my entire body is drenched in sweat. I can't feel my limbs, and the edges of my vision begin to blur. The only thing in focus is the gun, pointed at me. My mom screams, and my dad yells my name, but the sound is muffled, like they are far away. So far away, and I can't get to them. My dad moves forward to try to reach me, but suit number 1 grabs him and throws him to the ground, twisting his arm behind his back. My dad's glasses fall off and slide across the floor. There's more screaming, ear-splitting, unnatural animal sounds. And I realize they're coming from me. Then there's only silence, and the weight of the air in the room pressing on our bodies, and my short, shallow breaths forcing my chest to rise and fall too fast, making me lightheaded. Suit number 1 nods at suit number 2, who points his gun away from me and reholsters it under his suit coat. Suit number 1 releases my father's arm and pulls him up. I have never seen this look on my father's face before. It's terror or fear or confusion. No, none of those are the right words. We're all small, scared, helpless animals, our legs caught in the teeth of a steel trap. I understand. This has nothing to do with me. How stupid am I? This isn't about breaking curfew. It's about something far, far worse. Suit number 1, obviously the one in charge, pushes my dad towards my mom, whose face is wet with tears. She reaches out for my dad, her arms, her entire body shaking. Suit number 1 speaks, his voice a taut wire. Under order of the Exclusion Authority and by the powers vested in the security of war under Presidential Order 1455, we are here to serve notice and carry out your relocation. Relocation? What does that mean? I turn from the suits to my parents. My mom is sobbing into her hands, and my dad looks like the house is burning down around him. Relocation? I repeat. For us? To where? Why? Suit number 1 turns toward the stairs, narrowing his eyes at me. Near Manzanar, and you would do best to keep quiet. I clamp my mouth shut and bite my lip. The looks on my parents' faces. I clutch my stomach. I'm afraid I might throw up. Suit number 1 addresses my dad. You are the author of this book, Nameless Saints, correct? He says in a gravelly voice, gesturing to the book in his hand. Suit number 2 has barely uttered a word since the pair marched into our house. Yes, my dad answers slowly, uncertainly. His poems. They're coming after us because of poetry? I rack my brain to try to think what could be in these poems that would get us in trouble. His last book was published a couple months before the election. But my dad, his poems, they're not fire and brimstone political. His poems are about people and moments and polishing tiny nuggets of truth. And this poem, Revolution, suit number 1 asks, showing my dad a page in the book. Yes, my dad says, his voice low. It's probably my dad's best-known poem. When it was published in the New Yorker, my mom and I had Mrs. Brown make him one of those picture cakes with the cover of the issue his poem was printed in. Mrs. Brown, the woman who was off to burn my dad's books. Dad once came to the school to do a writer's workshop with us in English class. I memorized his poem so I could recite it that day. Revolution by Ali Amin. Speak to me with your tongue while it is still free, while your body is still yours. Let your words travel through the air, uncontrolled, spontaneous, necessary, tumbling through clouds of dust that dim the sun, until they reach my ear and so many ears spilled onto the table, waiting. Speak the truth while it is still alive, while lips, cracked and bleeding, can still move. Time is beholden to neither lover nor tyrant. Say what you must. I will listen. And that's the end of Chapter 3. See you next time for Chapter 4 of Internment by Samira Ahmed. Be sure to check our Google Classroom and respond to the question I've posted about today's reading.